What if the people in charge of the most powerful economy on Earth were, well, completely flying blind? That's not some crazy hypothetical. For the US Federal Reserve, that's pretty much the reality heading into 2026.
So why 2026? What's so special about that year? Well, it's shaping up to be a time when all the old economic rules just don't seem to apply anymore. And it's leaving pretty much everyone from investors to policymakers and yeah, even us, just kind of holding our breath.
Think about it. You've got a brand new leader about to take the helm, the institution itself, it's totally divided, and the entire global economy is hanging in the balance. So the big question really is, what on earth is next for the US Federal Reserve?
All right, so let's start digging into this mystery. And the first piece of the puzzle is all about who's going to be in charge, the race for the top spot.
Now, to get a real sense of who's actually in the running, we're not going to look at the usual polls or pundits. Instead, we're looking at something called polymarket. It's a prediction market, which means people are betting real money on who they think will get the job. And the thinking behind this is pretty simple, right? When your own cash is on the line, you tend to bet on what you really think is going to happen, not just what you're hoping for. It's a great way to cut through all the noise.
And what does the market tell us? Well, it's painting a pretty clear picture. As of late January 2026, this whole race is basically boiled down to two main contenders. You've got Rick Rieder from BlackRock, who's shot ahead with a 49% chance. And then there's Kevin Warsh, a former Fed governor, sitting at 28%.
So, who are these guys? Let's break it down. On one side, you've got Rick Rieder. He's the market veteran, a big-time bond investor at BlackRock. He's got tons of real-world finance experience, but no formal time inside the Fed. People see him as the balanced, hands-on pro. Then on the other side, you've got Kevin Warsh. He's the Fed insider. He was actually a governor back during the 2008 financial crisis, so he knows the institution. He's generally considered more of a dove, which is just Fed speak for someone who tends to favor lower interest rates.
But here's the thing, and this is absolutely crucial to understand. Given President Trump's track record, it almost doesn't matter if it's Rieder or Warsh. The bottom line is, whoever gets the nod is almost certainly going to be a dove. They'll be picked because they're seen as loyal to an agenda of one thing: lower interest rates.
Okay, so the new chair is coming in with a clear mandate for lower rates. But here's the next problem. They're not exactly inheriting a happy, unified family. They are walking straight into a deeply fractured institution.
And to really see just how divided they are, we need to talk about something called a dot plot. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Imagine you get the 12 top people at the Fed in a room, and you ask them to anonymously put a dot on a chart showing where they think interest rates should be down the road. That's it. It's a fantastic, unfiltered snapshot of what they're all thinking.
And just look at the dot plot for 2026. I mean, wow. The committee is literally split 4 different ways. You've got some folks calling for 2 or more rate cuts. Another group wants just 1 cut. A third group says, nope, no change at all. And then, and this is the real shocker, you've got a faction that thinks rates should actually go up. To see this level of disagreement, it's just incredibly rare. It basically screams that nobody inside the Fed has any idea what's going on.
So, that brings up the obvious question, right? Why are they so divided? It's because the economic numbers they're looking at, well, they just don't make any sense.
Okay, so here's the great economic puzzle. This is where things get really weird. The US is dealing with this massive contradiction. Check this out. On one hand, unemployment is creeping up to 4.6%, which is a 4-year high. Normally, that's a sign the economy is cooling off and inflation should be going down. But on the other hand, inflation is just stuck. It's stubbornly sitting at 3%, way above the Fed's 2% target. I mean, you open up any economics textbook and it'll tell you this isn't supposed to happen. And this contradiction, it's led to a total free-for-all of theories with absolutely zero agreement. You've got people saying, oh, it's Trump's tariffs pushing prices up. Someone else says, no, it's just a temporary blip from that government shutdown in 2025. Then you hear, it's AI slowing down new hires, or it's workers shifting to AI jobs, or even the data itself is just wrong. And of course, you have the huge US deficit being blamed. The point is, everyone has a theory, which really means nobody has a clue.
Now, as if this whole economic mystery wasn't confusing enough, it's not happening in some sterile academic bubble. Oh no, it is unfolding under the shadow of some really intense political pressure.
You see, the whole idea of the Federal Reserve is that it's supposed to be independent from politics. But that independence is being seriously challenged. President Trump has made it very clear that he's willing to jump right in and try to influence the Fed's decisions,
And the officials there? They know that pushing back could have real personal consequences. We've already seen it happen, right? Former Chair Powell and Governor Cook both faced legal challenges after they clashed with the administration. So this creates a climate where you have to wonder if policy decisions might start bending to political pressure.
Okay, let's put all these pieces together. You've got a new, dovish leader coming in. You've got a committee that can't agree on anything. You've got an economy that makes no sense. And on top of all that, you've got this immense political pressure. So what's the solution to this mystery? Well, the solution is there is no solution. There's no clear path forward. The Fed is, for all intents and purposes, flying completely blind. One analyst really put it perfectly. They said, it's like flying a plane in a thick fog. You know, all your instruments are technically working, but you have absolutely no idea what's waiting for you just ahead.
And in a fog like that, there are some very real hidden dangers. So let's walk through what they call a tail risk scenario, something that's not likely, but would be a disaster if it happened. Okay, step 1. The Fed starts cutting interest rates aggressively, but at the same time, new tariffs make inflation spike. That combo is just toxic. You're boosting demand with rate cuts while choking off supply with tariffs. It's a textbook recipe for an overheating economy. Then comes step 2, the shock. The market sees this inflation data, panics, and immediately starts betting on sharp rate hikes. And that leads to step 3, the crash. This sudden, violent U-turn in policy causes the market to just collapse.
And let's not forget, all of this economic risk is playing out against a political backdrop. The 2026 midterm elections are right around the corner. So you've got President Trump trying to navigate this incredible tightrope walk. He wants to juice the economy to feel good for the election, but without creating a massive bubble that bursts right before people head to the polls.
So what we're really watching here is a kind of unprecedented experiment. You've got a new leader, a divided institution, a baffling economy, and massive political pressure all coming together at once. And it really just leaves us with one final, and I think really critical, question to chew on. When politics and economic policy collide this hard, what gets left behind in the wreckage?